Broadcasting live from an undisclosed location. This is the TCMMA podcast with your host, Chris Cross.
Whoa!
Dana White privilege.
Let's go, baby! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go, baby!
Dana White privilege. Privilege. Privilege.
Welcome to the TCMMA podcast. It's your boy Chris Cross, and we are live. Episode 814. We got a lot to discuss in the world of MMA. And we just changed our, I don't know if you call it logo, but I guess description, to MMA is the theme, and the UFC is the dream. And that's the focus going forward, at least for the near future. The UFC is a dream. You got the big fight between Ngannou and some other guy. We may dig deeper into that in tomorrow's podcast, or maybe Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. Give me a 2-day break. But Renan Ferreira. There we go. Yes. Francis Ngannou versus Renan Ferreira, PFL fight, going toe-to-toe with the UFC. But that fight will go down at about 6:30 before the main card even starts. And when we get to the first prediction tonight, this fight will be on when the Ngannou fight's on. And I'm telling you now, I'm watching the UFC prelims over Ngannou Ferreira. But I'm still a little curious about that fight to see what Ngannou can do back in the MMA world. It's big, man. But we're definitely going to touch more on that because both of those go down. Ngannou versus Ferreira goes toe-to-toe with UFC Vegas 99. Hernandez versus Pereira. So we're going to get into all those fights and predictions. But first, we got some news to get into. And let's just jump right into, let's just go topic by topic instead of giving you the overlay. We'll just go one by one. And first, it's UFC 310. And this goes down in December. And it's a great card at the top. Welterweight title, Belal Muhammad, Shavkat Rakhmonov. Doesn't get better than that. That's going to be a true test for what Belal Muhammad is doing now with the takedown game, working with Khabib, and that's going to be the ultimate fight. And then in the flyweight division, you got Pantoja versus Asakura. And you might be saying, well, who the heck is Asakura? He's making his UFC debut for the flyweight title. That's how weak this division is right now. UFC 310 goes down December 7th. Tough day for me because Bone Thugs and Harmony's coming to town. And you know that's my number one group. So we'll see what happens. I mean, we'll see. But that's going to be a big time card to round out the year in terms of pay-per-view fights. There's one other fight on December 14th. But UFC 310 is going to be absolutely ridiculous. Moving forward, Jon Jones adds Dana White's anti-aging coach, Gary Brecka, to UFC 309 camp. And that's impressive, right? Because Jon Jones is getting older. And this is a guy that told Dana White, CEO of the UFC, he had 10 years left to live based on his genetic testing. So, of course, Dana White went right to work. You see, he looks bigger, stronger, looks better, looks younger. And he's taking it serious. And now Jon Jones seems to be going that route too, and that's a good thing because that leads me to believe he's trying to stick around for a little while. He's already getting ready for Tom Aspinall. Make no mistake about it. Stipe is just a bump in the road. Let's be real. So he's got almost probably a year from right now. So I'd say next October, maybe next June or July, August, somewhere around there, Jon Jones will fight Tom Aspinall. So he's working with the right people to get ready for what looks like, to be the ultimate fight. For sure. Conor McGregor wishes Max Holloway luck versus Ilia Topuria at UFC 308. Saying mess him up. Well, he didn't say mess him up. He used some other choice words. But yeah, McGregor doesn't want Topuria to win. Obviously, he's going with Max Holloway. And I think a lot of people are going with Max Holloway after his last fight where he dropped Gaethje. at the 24:59 mark, 1 second left in the fight. I mean, that was ridiculous. But it's back down to featherweight where Topuria rules. So I don't know if Conor McGregor is gonna get his wishes in that one. Dana White slammed Kamala Harris after Colbert appearance. This clip should scare everyone, Dana White says. And he's alluding to the fact that she can't put together a sentence without the teleprompter. I mean, some things we all know already. Luckily for us, the election is just around the corner, because I'm being honest, I want to get this thing over with. Let's get back to sports and all that. We got the Olympics coming up. We got the World Cup of soccer coming up. We got a lot coming up that should bring the country together, hopefully. And enough with this election. But yeah, she struggles without the teleprompter. As you saw, it went off in one event. Trump doesn't have that problem. He's on like every podcast, whether it be comedy, whatever. He's trying to relate to the people right now, and it seems to be working. Seems to be working. We'll see. We'll see. Dana White and Joe Rogan think UFC 307 judges got it wrong, and they're talking about the co-main event. And of course, that was a few weeks back now. Well, a week and a half ago. And that was between Juliana Pena and Rockwell Pennington. And we went over the stats, and I think Juliana Pena won the fight. A lot of people think Rockwell Pennington won. Split decision. So it is what it is. But it seems that that's how they feel. Right? And he was speaking to MMA Fighting. He said, it's just crazy to me what these judges do. At the end of the day, you have competitive fights. They go to the decisions, and it just takes that one person to take away everything from somebody. And I feel like they just really don't realize what they're doing. And yet they're the ones with the best seat in the house. Yeah. I mean, they get paid to be there. They don't have to pay to be there. They get paid to be there. And then you just pick the winner. I mean, I still don't understand why they don't have a point system. But, we're going to sit there with judges for just 3 rounds. I mean, it's crazy. Dana White went off today. It was great. Absolutely great. Dana White sounded off on do nothing MFers in the UFC rankings panel. The morons strike again. And we told you this was coming. We've seen the UFC rankings really take a hit lately. The people are upset with what's going on. Khalil Roundtree went toe-to-toe with Alex Pereira. He was number 8 in the division, went up and fought for the title, didn't win. But not arguably, gave him the best fight of any light heavyweight yet. And he's still ranked number 8. He doesn't even get credit over guys like Jamal Hill and Yuri Prochazka, who got dropped early. Yet Khalil Roundtree went, late into the 4th round. But yeah, Dana White sounding off, and he's saying more or less he's actually having meetings about this, and going to get some things done over the next week, it sounds like. So we'll see where it's headed. He talked about AI doing the rankings. I think that's a good idea, but you still got to code it once again, and what are going to be the decisions in AI making the picks or the rankings? Would Khalil Roundtree get credit even though he lost? Could you still move up? Is it proper to move someone up after a loss? In this situation, I say yes. Normally, no. PFL's Don Davis expects Dana White to make major announcement in attempt to stifle Francis Ngannou's MMA return. I mean, what announcement could he make unless someone's going to fight at Vegas 99 this Saturday? But I don't think Dana White gets down like that. I mean, the UFC is already contracted out to ESPN, right? And I get it. They're going toe-to-toe with Ngannou, but I just don't. Maybe Dana White does something. I wouldn't put it past him. It would still be a great strategic move. I mean, that's what the guy does. But at the same time, he doesn't need to. These fights are going to take off regardless of who else is fighting. It's always that way. Yeah, people might watch one fight over there, but they're coming back to UFC for, 10 of the other 11 fights or however many there are this Saturday, which I believe there's 11. And Ngannou's coming off a KO loss in boxing. So, how excited are we? I mean, you think he can beat Jon Jones? Everybody wants to see it, but now it's not as as big as it was 2 years ago. Joe Rogan reveals the only UFC fighter that really freaked him out. As he admits, there's one thing about the icon he can't believe, and he's talking about Yoel Romero, saying nobody really looks like they're bigger than the weight class as much as Yoel Romero did at 185 middleweight division. That guy was huge, flexible too, could move. And we saw him late in life, right? He started MMA, I think they said at 35 or 36, and ended up fighting for a title. I mean, it's crazy. But yeah, can you imagine if he would have got involved in MMA like at 24, like these guys now? That's why it's crazy what we're gonna see coming up. With we're in the prime days over the next 15 to 20 years of MMA, because you got a lot of younger kids getting involved earlier. This is a guy, when MMA starts becoming popular, he decides to take it up, so he gets in the mid-30s. But kids now are, early teens, late teens, competing heavily in the 20s. You see Raul Rosas Jr. getting into the UFC at 17 or 18? I mean, it's just the game has changed. But Yoel Romero was a big dude at middleweight. I could see why Joe Rogan would say that. DT Donald Trump reveals why there's nobody like Dana White as he opens up on friendship with UFC chief. And we all know that there's a friendship there. Dana White speaking at the RNC. For those of you that are new to politics, right? That's the Republican National Convention. And, we've obviously talked about Hamza getting the visa reinstated if Trump becomes president. So if for no other reason alone, if I didn't know anything, I got to go with Trump because I need to see Hamza Chimaev fight in America for the title once he beats Robert Whittaker and dusts him off next week. Then Trump gets elected. He gets reinstated to the USA. And then we get the championship fight here. We don't want Hamza fighting for the championship overseas. We want him fighting right here against Duplessis, or maybe Sean Strickland pulls that thing out, and then he's got to defend the home turf, and then it really gets interesting because you're talking about major trash talk between those two. Although Hamza's been silent. Hamza Chimaev has been silent with the new coaches. He's still out there. But he seems to be really focused, and that's exactly what I want to see. But yeah, Donald Trump for president. Let's get Hamza in the country. Reinstate the visa. And let's get it popping. Let's make it happen. Middleweight title fight in the USA, not in Saudi Arabia or something like that, which is fine. But I want to see Hamza fight for the title in America. Please believe it. Now, as we jump into UFC Vegas 99, let's get into the first prediction today. And this is the main event in the prelims, no early prelims, but in the prelims. Flyweight division, Matthias Nicolau versus Asu Almabayev, a guy that's 20-2, fighting out of Kazakhstan. It's Brazil versus Kazakhstan. And almost always I go with the Brazilian. So let's see if that holds true here. Let's get into it right now. In the flyweight division at UFC Vegas 99, you got a big one here between Matthias Nicolau and Asul Almabayev. Two guys used to winning almost every fight. I mean, Nicolau's 19-5, Brazilian. Almabayev 20-2 from Kazakhstan. Now, Nicolau's 2 inches taller at 5'6". He's 31. Almabayev is 30. So both guys right in the middle of the prime, perfect. Nicolau has a 1-inch reach advantage. Both guys stand right-handed. Nicolau outpaces Almabayev on the feet, 3.6 significant strikes per minute to 2.4 for Almabayev. But Almabayev lands over 2 takedowns per round. Nicolau won every other round. The problem is, though, is Nicolau has a 93% takedown defense, and that's going to determine the fight. He's got to keep it standing. Now, against Perez, he did, but he got KO'd in the second round. Against Royval, he kept it standing and got KO'd in the first round. But he beat guys you would expect him to beat, like Matt Schnell, David Dvorak, Tim Elliott, and Manel Kape. Now, Almabayev has been perfect in the UFC, beating Jose Johnson by decision. CJ Vergara, decision. He had 15 combined takedowns in those 2 fights. Then he had 2 against Ode Osborne in his UFC debut, which led to his submission. Now, Matthias Nicolau's on a whole different level, and usually I don't go against the Brazilians. But as it stands last week, we had another guy that had an amazing 17-2 record, and I was unsure, but I'm not going against a guy that only has 2 losses in 22 fights. Forget about it. I got to go with Almabayev here. Even though Nicolau has great takedown defense, Almabayev is relentless. He will land takedowns in this fight and break through. And in my opinion, he wins 2 rounds out of 3. He's got the momentum coming in, and that's going to be important up and down this card. And I've been going with a lot of guys up and down this card that have the momentum, and Almabayev is that guy. He wins by decision because Nicolau is that good. He's not going to finish him, I don't think. But Almabayev gets to win, in my opinion, move to 21-2, flyweight division, UFC Vegas 99. Yeah, there you have it. Almabayev out the gate. We got Asul Almabayev winning this fight. And again, you can't go against a guy that's 20. Is it 20 or 21? 20-2? Yeah. Out of Kazakhstan? That just sounds scary to me. Right? This guy's winning all the time. I'm not going against him. Now, as we move forward in the featherweight division, this is the time to get into the chat room. Right? And start letting me know what you think about these predictions. And the next one, you got Darren Elkins. 28-11 taking on Daniel Pineda. 28-16, USA versus USA. Wow, I like it. It's a big matchup right here. 2 guys very capable of winning. A lot of wins, a lot of losses though. So, tricky prediction. Let's get into it right now. In the featherweight division at UFC Vegas 99, you got your boy Darren Elkins taking on Daniel Pineda. So highly interesting fight. Both guys with a wealth of experience. Elkins 28-11, Pineda 28-16. USA versus USA, almost even in terms of the odds. Now Elkins is 3 inches taller at 5'10". He's 40. He's getting up there. But guess what? Pineda 39. So this is an odd fight. A must win for both guys really at this age level. Elkins 2-inch reach advantage. Both guys stand right-handed. Darren Elkins 3.5 significant strikes per minute. Pineda 3. Exactly significant strikes per minute. So Elkins is slightly more active, but it's pretty close. And you can use these averages because they've had a lot of fights. Now Darren Elkins lands like just shy of a takedown per round, but right there. Pineda takedown every other round. So takedown defense will be important. 56% for Elkins, 48% for Pineda. So that's going to be a problem. Now Darren Elkins is coming off a submission win over TJ Brown. Even more of a reason for him to take this fight to the ground. He did lose to Jonathan Pierce by decision and beat Tristan Connolly by decision to win 2 of the last 3, including 1 finish. Now, Pineda has lost back-to-back fights, including 2 of the last 3. Losing to Nathaniel Wood by decision, just 32 significant strikes. Lost to Alex Caceres, who's a good fighter, by decision. He had 4 takedowns combined in those losses, so he's got to do more work on the ground. Prior to that, he submitted Tucker Lutz in the 2nd round. So this is a very close fight. You can see why the odds are the way that they are. But listen, when the odds are close like this, I'm going to lean towards a guy with the better numbers, and that's Darren Elkins. He's slightly more active on the feet. He's definitely more active with takedowns, although Pineda can defend himself on the ground. But I still like Darren Elkins to get the win here, likely by decision. Pineda will be in trouble and under control for much of this fight, but he won't get finished. If he does, he does. But in my opinion, he doesn't. But either way, it's about the victory. And that's going to come via Darren Elkins. He'll move to 29-11, in my opinion, featherweight division. UFC Vegas 99. Yeah, tough prediction. First fight of the main card. Tough prediction. Darren Elkins seemed to be slightly better. When you look at the records, too, and the numbers, got to go with Darren Elkins. But yeah, peeking into the chat room during the break there. And see Colostrum in there says, what's up, bro? October is stacked with fights. Yeah, I mean, October is so deep, it's ridiculous. Well, really, if you just throw Hamza on the card, then the whole month is ridiculous. Especially when it's like the second to last fight of the month. The lead up is just going to be ridiculous. I can't wait. As soon as we get done with this, we're going to Hamza, we're going to 308, we're getting all that in. UFC 308 is going to be crazy. Yep. Brian Battle versus Randy Brown. Gotta like that. Is Hamza going to submit Robert Whittaker? I would say yes, because I think after you see the fight with Aliskerov, it's not like Hamza's scared to strike with Whittaker at all. He can do either one. But after what he's been through in the last couple fights, I mean, he dominated Usman on the ground. And Usman has the best takedown defense in the UFC, or at least one of the top 5. So why can't he take down Whittaker? Why even stand and strike and give Whittaker an opportunity, right? Homework in the chat says, "Sup, Chris Cross? Hamza is going to smash Rob soon." Yeah. And it's fixing to get exciting. Because when Hamza fights, this is when the chat room gets more live. Everybody's talking about Hamza. We've been talking about him since the beginning, right? Number 1 on the dude list. It's just, I can't wait. But we got to get through these predictions for sure. Colostrum, if Mikel can't finish Fluffy in round 1, then Fluffy is going to finish him with pace and cardio for sure. And you see Traveler in there as well. What do you think of Islam Dulatov, who just got signed to UFC after DWCS KO win? Yeah, I mean, listen, this year's Contender Series is ridiculous. Of course, it's going to be on tonight. By the time some of you are listening to this, Contender Series Week 10 is over. It's over. And we faded out in the end, but we were full go for 8 of the 10 weeks. And, you know, Cody Haddon fought last week. Lucas Rocha lost, but Cody Haddon won. So you're going to see some guys in the Contender Series come in and win, and you're going to start to recognize their names. But Islam Dulatov, or is it Islam, right? Islam Dulatov is really good. There's no question about it. I mean, he's really good. That's a major, major prospect headed towards the UFC. Now, as we move up into Fight 4, stay in the chat room. We'll be back. Bantamweight division, Brady Highstand, 9-2 versus Jake Hadley, 11-3. I just like both of these guys. So it's tough to make a prediction when you like both of them, but we got to do it. We got to do it. So here's Highstand, or Hestand, one of the two, versus Hadley. In the bantamweight division at UFC Vegas 99, this fight goes down in the main card. You got Brady Heastand versus Jake Hadley. So highly interesting fight here. Great division, bantamweight division, high activity. Fight can go on the feet or go to the ground. Heastand 9-2, Hadley 11-3. USA versus England in this one. Brady is 1 inch taller at 5'8". He's just 25 years old. So 11 fights in at 25. I like that. Hadley 28. So Hadley's entering his prime. Brady's still quite young. Brady 1 inch reach advantage. He stands right-handed. Hadley stands southpaw or left-handed. Now Hadley is more active on the feet, 3.8 significant strikes per minute to 2.7 for Brady, but Brady can land like a takedown and a half per round. So let me take a look at Jake Hadley's takedown defense, 54%. That's going to be a problem. Now Brady is coming in with 3 wins in a row against Fernie Garcia, decision. Badgero Dana, KO, and he submitted Garrett Armfield. So a lot of momentum coming into this fight. Now, Jake Hadley did beat Colin Loughran by decision. 81 significant strikes to 66. That's big. But he did lose to Charles Johnson by decision and Cody Durden by decision. Prior to that, he KO'd Malcolm Gordon. So he's 2-2 in his last 4, or 3-2 in his last 5. But the momentum here, and this is the key in this main card. You're seeing this a lot. One guy has a lot of momentum. And in this one, that's Brady Heastand. So I like him to win. The odds are very close for a reason, because both guys are very capable of winning, and it really could go either way. But I like Brady Heastand simply because of the momentum and the takedown ability and the lack of takedown defense for Jake Hadley. Brady Heastand will be wise to take this fight to the ground, and in my opinion, he'll do so and get a dominant victory here. Hopefully he gets a submission, but likely a decision victory, unanimous, here in the bantamweight division at UFC Vegas 99. Yeah, so Heastand over Hadley. Again, 2 guys that I really like, and hard to make predictions in that situation. But we'll go with Brady Heastand to get the W in this one. And we're riding high right now after a big week. Last week, 10-2. And for some reason, we do well at the Apex Center. When it's UFC Vegas something, we tend to do well. And it's the ones that are overlooked, right? It's the ones that are overlooked that not many people are tuning into are the ones that we take off. We do well in the pay-per-view events too. But for some reason, we do really well at the Apex. 10-2 last week. Of course, we didn't get the main event, though. Unfortunately, we did not get the main event. But 10-2 is respectable. Make no mistake about it. Now, as we jump into fight number 3, another big one. I can't wait to get to the co-main, the main event, though. But here you got flyweight division, Charles Johnson, 16-6 versus Sue Mudarji, 16-6, USA versus China. Did you hear that? USA versus China. Who doesn't like that? Who doesn't like that? Let's jump into it right now. In the flyweight division at UFC Vegas 99, this fight goes down in the main card. You got Charles Johnson taking on Sue Mudarji, and this is going to be a big-time fight because Charles Johnson is 16-6, Mudarji also 16-6. This is USA versus China. Now, Charles Johnson's 1 inch taller at 5'9". He's 33. Mudarji just 28. Mudarji's got a 2-inch reach advantage. He fights left-handed. Charles Johnson is a switch stance fighter, so it'll be interesting to see how he wants to match up here. Both guys just under 5 significant strikes per minute, so you're going to get some good activity and good action here on the stand-up. Now, in terms of the takedown game, both guys really non-existent, just like one takedown over a lot of fights. So look for this fight to remain standing and a lot of action on the feet. Now, Charles Johnson is coming in with 3 straight victories over Azat Maxim, decision, Jake Hadley, decision, and he KO'd Joshua Van in his last fight. His last loss was to Rafael Estevan by decision back in November of 2023. Now, Mudarji is coming in with back-to-back losses. Both submissions against Matt Schnell and Tim Elliott. Both of those fights didn't last long at all. Well, at least in the Matt Schnell fight, he did get to the second round, but he got finished. Before that, he won 3 in a row against guys like Malcolm Gordon, Andrei Sukamith, and Zaruk Adashev. But when you see the momentum coming into this fight, it totally favors Charles Johnson. I got to believe he's going to win this fight. When you look at the numbers, it's almost even. But when you look at the momentum, again, that favors Charles Johnson. So I like him to win a very tough, very close fight on the feet. He's going to outstrike Mudarji in 2 of the 3 rounds and get the decision victory to move to 17-6. That's how I see it playing out. In my opinion, flyweight division, UFC Vegas 99. Charles Johnson, baby. Charles Johnson's getting the dub. Yeah, another close fight. And, you know, this is UFC Vegas 99. So you know what that means. UFC Vegas 100, they're getting in. I don't know if they're getting to 101, but definitely 100 before the renovation. If you didn't hear this, you know, UFC Vegas 1 all the way up to now 100, 99 this weekend. This is all from when things went sideways in 2020, right? So you're looking on average 25 events at the Apex per year. That only leaves about another 15 to 20 outside of the Apex, which the UFC has already ventured out a lot more this year. They'll continue to do that in 2025, but they're going to expand the Apex to include more fans, which I think is great because the Apex is a great place to fight, but we need more people in the seats. So it won't be 20,000 or even 10,000, but it'll be, you know, 3,000 to 5,000 seat place, which is, you know, very cool. That this came out of a bad situation where the UFC needed somewhere to fight back in 2020. So it's a good thing they got it done. Now, the next one, you got Rob Font versus Kyler Phillips. This is obviously a big fight in the co-main event and one that a lot of people are talking about. Why? Because it's the bantamweight division. Puerto Rico versus USA. Kyler Phillips is a major favorite too, which is interesting because Rob Font is really good. So let's jump into it right now. In the bantamweight division, your co-main event at UFC Vegas 99, you got your boy Rob Font taking on a tough competitor in Kyler Phillips. Now Font 20-8, Phillips 12-2. Puerto Rico versus USA. Both guys 5'8". Rob Font 37. He's getting up there. Kyler Phillips just 29. Both guys 72-inch reach. Both guys stand right-handed. Both guys right around 5.5 significant strikes per minute. So that's interesting. But Kyler Phillips can go to the ground like once every other, or I'm sorry, well, just shy of one takedown per round. But he can definitely take the fight to the ground. Rob Font like one every 3 or 4 rounds. So big difference there. So what's Rob Font's takedown defense? 46%. That's a problem against Kyler Phillips. He lost to Davison Figueiredo by decision. So he's fighting good guys. Corey Sandhagen, decision. He beat Adrian Yanez by KO. But is he slowing down a little bit? Kyler Phillips, also 75% takedown defense. Less likely that he's getting taken down. Won his last 3 against Pedro Munoz, decision. Raoni Barcelos, decision. He submitted Marcelo Rojo. And this is an interesting fight because it comes down to, do you think Kyler Phillips can upgrade? Right? This is a down fight for Rob Font. This is an upgrade fight for Kyler Phillips. And man, I'm going to lean towards Kyler Phillips to get the job done here. I just think it's his time. You know, he did lose to Raulian Paiva, which is his only loss in like the last 8 or 9, 10 fights. And that's just in the UFC. So, and that was majority decision. So I think the guy's solid. I think he's going to get the job done here. Close fight. But he wins by decision to meet the 13-2. And Rob Font is fading. He'll fall to 20-9. Bantamweight division. UFC Vegas, 99. Yeah, and it's hard to even see that prediction because if the prediction, you know, holds true, Rob Font is fading, man. Bad. And this was a guy that was knocking on the door at the very top of the division. But it's the bantamweight division, man. It's tough. It's a tough division. Guys are for real. There's a lot of guys underneath that are on the come up. Kyler Phillips is still one of them. You know, the guy's 12-2. So Kyler Phillips gets the job done there, which is tough against Rob Font. Now, in the main event, Anthony Hernandez, 12-2. Michel Pereira, 31-11. USA versus Brazil. Had to take a hard look at this fight. Hernandez is a slight favorite, very slight, but he is the favorite. But does that mean we're going with Hernandez? Big prediction too. Coming off the loss last week, we need to get back in the win column, and then we got another tough one next week, right? With Holloway and Topuria. At least that prediction's already done. Stay tuned for that. That's coming up. You could see it on the channel early. But we're going to get to that next week in the podcast for sure. And Hamza's on the ticket, so you already know. But listen, let's get into this main event right now. Hernandez versus Pereira. In the middleweight division, your main event at UFC Vegas 99, you got Anthony Hernandez taking on Michel Pereira. And I'm looking forward to this fight for sure. Main event, Hernandez 12-2. The Brazilian Pereira 31-11. So highly interesting. Hernandez a slight favorite here. He's 1 inch shorter than Pereira. Pereira's 6'1". Pereira's 31. Hernandez 30. Right? So very close in age. Both guys right in the middle of the prime. That's why it's the main event. Hernandez 2-inch reach advantage. Both guys stand right-handed. Now in terms of activity, that's Pereira 5.2 significant strikes to 4.3 for Hernandez. So Pereira's got the slight edge there. But Hernandez can take the fight to the ground at will. I mean, he's well over 2 takedowns per round, where Pereira's getting like 1 every other round. So, you know, Hernandez wants to go to the ground. But do you want to go to the ground against Pereira? We'll see. Hernandez 63% takedown defense. Coming off wins over Roman Kopylov, submission. He KO'd Edmund Shabazian and submitted Marc-Andre Barriol. So he's just finishing people. Pereira, 94% takedown defense. So you can see why this fight is set up. And will he be able to keep that percentage that high here? But listen, even in the last 2, he won by submission against Ihor Potieria, guillotine. Mikhail Alexichuk, rear submission. Both fights a combined 1 minute and 55 seconds. Before that, he beat Andre Petrosky, KO. Split decision over Ponzinibbio, okay, and beat Andre Fialho. Man, oh man. And, you know, you see the record for Pereira and you say 31-11. and 11. So a lot of wins, but a lot of losses. So you think he's like 35, 36, 37. No, he's 31. So a wealth of experience coming into this fight. And guess what? I think he's going to get the job done. You know, I think the takedown defense is there. Even if it goes to the ground, he'll be fine. But he'll be more aggressive. He'll land more significant strikes. He'll take the fight to the ground. And that aggressiveness is going to lead to victory here, in my opinion. Hard to say how. Could be a submission, because it is 5 rounds. But if it does go to a decision, he wins as well. He's going to easily win 3 or 4 rounds to move to 32-11, in my opinion. Middleweight division, UFC Vegas, 99. Michel Pereira over Anthony Hernandez. We got to live with that. Anthony Hernandez is really good, ladies and gentlemen. He's really good. Not going to be easy. Not going to be easy. So definitely a big time main event here, and I like the fact that it's going to go down around 10 o'clock, 9:30. The night ends kind of early. It's good. You always got that late college football game. Like last week, it was Colorado and Kansas State, I believe. And some other games are on. So it's just great. I like when it's over at like 10 and not like 2 in the morning. That makes for a rough weekend, man. Your boy's getting older, right? Can't party like I used to. About 10 o'clock, I'm ready for bed. And sometimes the main card's just kicking off. It is what it is. But listen, it's been real. UFC Vegas 99, then we get to 308, then we get to UFC Macau, China, then we get to UFC 100. So a lot of big things coming up, man. A lot of big fights coming up. But that's going to do it for now. It's your boy Chris Cross. I hope you have a great day, and God bless, as always.